Welcome everyone to yet another great episode of Hotel Talk, and today I have with us quite an interesting character. I'm going to get to know her more and more as we talk today. She is a high performance coach and a mindset expert. She's our new director of Global Women Club Cyprus. As you guys might remember, we had Mirella Sulla on this podcast before, who is the founder of this amazing club, and Elizabeth Villiger Tufexis, who is the woman who brought Global Women to Cyprus and has been the director of it for 4 years. Christina's recently taken over. She's, my goodness, been trained by ICF. Jill Dugas, who's coming on this podcast, also, helped certify you. I know that. But let's get into like a bit more. So first of all, a big welcome, Christina Aristidou.
Thank you so much for having me, for the invitation, Farah. It's been an amazing, setting. San Rafael, I love this place. And now I get to know this, studio which is unbelievably professional, I must say. I mean, I'm really, fascinated about the coziness, but at the same time, the level of professionalism, which seems to be a characteristic of whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much. Well,
thank you for having me.
We spend, Christos and I, who no one ever sees in the camera, but often in the YouTube, you can see me. I'm always glancing that way. So we spend a lot of time in this studio. So I think there's,
brilliant.
And with all the guests as well, there's a lot of love and good intention.
It's very nice vibe.
Hopefully the vibes are there. So Christina, my dear, let's start by you telling everyone a bit about you. Like from the beginning, and what do we need to know about Christina?
Yes. So, nice meeting you, everyone, and thanks to Farah. This gets to be the podcast I was, seeing, and I was intrigued who will be next week, and here I am. So thank you for the invitation. So for me, I mean, it's been quite a journey, because you said to take it from the beginning. So I was brought up, I'm originally from Cyprus. I was brought up in a family, I will say quite a typical Cypriot family. I'm the older child, with all the ambition, I think, of the parents, to get good education and to have good character and to be the good girl and, to tick all the boxes, which is done, I think, with the best of intentions always. I was this kind of girl, fully compliant and, cute and clever and, all these prescription, So I studied law.
Sorry, how many siblings did you say you had? You have two, and you're the eldest.
Yes, but they're the boys, so I'm the only girl. So
all right.
That plays a role
yes,
as well.
That's why I was like, delving in.
And it was everything in my life was pretty smooth, I never had some, challenges in until my adulthood, and it was a pretty journey of becoming successful, I would say. So it was performing, having big dreams. I wanted to study law because to my mind and society implied to us that once somebody is a high profile profession, they will have the respect, they will have the happiness, they will have the fulfillment. Okay, so I was in this kind of, I will say, treasure hunt, success, the success story. And so I had to study to the best universities. It had to be in the UK, it had to be one of the best ones. And then I had to do a master's, and then it has to also be the best one. And so it was a good foundation, the ultimate foundation for success. Okay. So during this journey, I was feeling a bit as like a racehorse. I was not very conscious, but I knew that something was missing. Okay, but I was I was hoping that when I get there, when I take the job, when I will become a manager, when I will become, like super successful, that will make sense. Okay. So it was like and I would say like a success hunt with a very nice potential. Okay. So I was waiting for that potential. Okay. And it was like, I came back to Cyprus. Of course, I found like a very good job. I have been in law firms, like the biggest law firms in Cyprus. I mean, my specification was like a corporate lawyer. So I was doing transactions. I was traveling all over the world. I was heading like multi-million projects, and like I was in contact with super successful CEOs and lawyers and professionals around the world. So it looked so fucking successful, on the outside. On the inside, it was, like I had all this my admiration, from people around me. Like they used to tell me like you've got it all, like wow. But I didn't feel this way, and I will say that when I had also like the relationship with my husband, and then the kids came over, and it was also busy at work, and like it really wanted effort and commitment and focus, and like a balancing thing to balance everything in my life in a proportion that feels like worthy and satisfying. So it was like this kind of story, like that had the perfect start and very good, like prospect. But as I was, like rising higher and higher, I was feeling less excited. And I noticed that although I was a very excited person, like a very authentic, a very, like outgoing, it started, not to please me. It became just as if I was playing in a movie and I was just a character. That, I had the script and I get to, like follow the script and perform what others expected from me to perform. So it was not until 2019 that was, like the, I would say the awakening that I experienced that was, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm not the same person since then in any of my kind of attitude and thinking and mindset and everything. It's been a while that I was working with myself because I was like, as I told you, a member of the managerial staff in the companies I've worked to. And because I was working also with Israelis and foreigners generally, they were very keen to this kind of self-development, like personal, like discovery and whatever. And we were having like trainings and people from abroad coming to train us and educate us. And back then, I was a bit not skeptical, but I will say I was not ready. I was not ready to face, because when you get into this personal discovery journey, it's like you have a mirror, okay? And whatever you try not to see, it just comes up inevitably. I was not ready, okay? So I had like a shield, like to, like this, well, this kind of things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm successful at what I'm doing. And I know, like everything in my life is good. And, like it's very sorted. And
everything on paper is perfect. So why complain?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And the thing was that I did work on myself, but just, like touching it. I was not ready. And at some point, I went on a trip alone, on a business trip. And it was like a huge transaction, like people flying from all over the world. And I was the only person representing my company. And we did the closing. It went perfectly fine. I was super excited, like I was receiving congratulations, etc. from the headquarters. And we went out for lunch to celebrate the closing. And as I was walking on the street, I was not feeling well, but I had to perform. So I had this smile, and like I tried to numb, what I was feeling, and I was pretty good at it. Like I really mastered that. I must say now, maybe since childhood, whatever was uncomfortable, whatever was not appropriate, whatever was not powerful, I had to numb it. So I went on, we had the lunch, blah, 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 and then I was not feeling well. So no question about, looking it up. I was like, okay, no matter what it is, I will go back to Cyprus and then I will deal with it. Next morning, I was embarking a flight and I never did. On the way to the airport, I fainted in the middle of the street. And I had what we call like a near-death experience. And this is so crucial for me because it's not just another experience. It's the experience that really shaped who I am today. Because Christina today and Christina before that, it was two completely different persons with completely different values, with completely different mindset, with completely different dreams and aspirations. Mm-hmm. And, I really never thought that one experience can so much shape you and transform you, because once I had this experience, which was very vivid, and I was kind of the last person that will believe that such kind of experiences exist. Because if somebody was telling me like this 5 years ago, I would be like, oh, no, what's kind of, this is like a woo-woo story.
Yeah. Pull your socks up and
Yes.
Face reality.
Yes. And I think that when you really face this and you are this kind of person, that's when it changes you. Because you can no longer deny it.
So tell us a bit about this experience. Like, what happened? What was wrong?
Yeah, it seems to me, that at that given moment, I was feeling like my body was not functioning properly, in the sense that it felt like fainting. Okay, so I fainted, and it was as if I was looking the whole scene from above, and it was terrifying. And the only thing I remember, Farah, was the only thing I was feeling was looking, at light, a lot of light. And I was feeling light, very light. And the only thing I kept repeating to myself was my kids, only this. I don't remember anything.
So it's literally like you had an out-of-body experience.
Yes.
This is what people talk about, that there's a light, it's calling you, and then you're adding to that, you even felt light. Yes. And it was like you were leaving.
Yes.
You were...
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that really...
How old were your children then? This was 2019,
yes.
so 4 years ago.
Yes, my younger one was 2, and the elder one was 7. And, what really struck me was that I was having all these, feelings and, sensations. And at the same time, I could look at me down in the pavement. I could look people running around me.
And you were in a foreign country. Where were you?
In London.
In London.
In
so
the middle of the
city. City in London, trying to get in a taxi. With anyone you knew or no one?
No.
And you just fainted?
Yes.
And you could see yourself there. You could see your body there lying in a street in London alone.
Yes.
In the grey street. I always think of London, the greyness of London.
It was, and I can tell you something. I was not scared. And because that's the first question people tell me. And I must say that I could not. I didn't own this story for quite a long time. I didn't talk about this story, not even to my parents, to my friends, to my husband, for maybe like 2 or 3 years. I was trying to, like process
Digest it,
myself, like what happened. And, after that, there have been so many signs to me, to my professional life, to my personal life, that, like told me that, like that was just, like a different redirection. Let's put it this way.
So what was wrong and what happened? I mean, someone
wrong?
picked you up,
Yes,
I guess. People ran
I was
and
picked up. I was put in a taxi to go to the airport. I fall down another 2 times. I ended up on a wheelchair to the airport till, let's say.
So you didn't go to a hospital or doctor at that?
I had to perform, Farah.
Yeah.
It was not my character to take the phone and say, look, I'm not, to my boss, for example, and say, like, I'm not well and I need to go to the hospital. I need to do the checkup. I just...
Or did you just want to get home at that point, at least? I mean, I've been sick abroad and I'm like...
Let's get it done.
I just want to get on that plane and then I'll see my doctors.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That was the thinking.
Yeah,
So,
especially when your family is somewhere else. You don't want to be like having checkups for 3 days in another country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what others will think of me. They will think I'm weak. They will think I'm scared.
Did that come into your...
I think subconsciously it was, yes. So it was like, I can do it. I can do it,
So you're wheeled into basically the airport?
Yes, and I was,
Did they allow you on the plane?
No, because I had like a scratch on my face that I was not aware of. And when they
From
told
falling,
me... Yes, and they asked me, what is the sign on you? And I was like, I don't have any sign. And they were like, did you fall? And I was like, yes. Were you conscious or unconscious? And I was like, unconscious. So they just refused to put me on board and kind of sent me to the hospital. And what was the verdict? Because I changed 2 hospitals in 10 days in London, like best hospitals.
And on your own?
On my own.
Did your husband manage to come in? No, he had to be with the kids.
He came and left and came again.
Yeah.
It was, like my brother was with me because he's working in the city. So the doctors were afraid that I had something like really they were asking questions like, did you had any kind of serious illness in your family, anything like out of normal, blah, blah, blah. And at the end they found that I had severe pulmonary embolism and blood clots all around my body.
I was going to say like aneurysms.
It was, I think that it was really crucial. And this kind of sign, obviously, is what saved my life. Because other than that, there will...
And it wasn't one. You had several of these going on. Of these.
But I think this sign was what got me to not to embark the plane. Because the doctor said that if I went on the flight, that will be like...
it would be the catalyst. I mean, they would have something would have exploded and
Yes, because I mean, I had no oxygen, so that would be detrimental. Anyway, so what the thing was, I had to stay in London for 1 month for checkups, for follow-ups.
And you were staying with your brother?
I was staying with friends. My brother was also around, and
lucky it was London, where I think a lot of us have friends.
Yes,
and
yes, and I had to stay alone, Farah, for quite a long time. I could not avoid asking myself the kind of powerful questions that I was avoiding so far. I had doctors came to me saying that I don't know why this happened to you. I don't know why you are alive. I mean, people were calling me a miracle in the hospital. So I had like doctors flying from other parts of UK to see this, like shitty case, what's going on. Like lawyers fly around to see a court case, And everybody was saying that, we didn't understand how this was fixed because 5 days from that moment, it was as if I had a new body. Like I had nothing left on my body from this.
From the signs of those blood clots. They'd gone.
They were gone. They were all gone. And it was, like at that given moment, I knew I would be fine. So from the very beginning, when the doctors were saying we need to keep you here, blah blah blah, I was like, I'm fine. I will be fine. I'm fine. And I really believed that. I had faith, and I thought that if I survived that, there must be a reason. And I trusted that. So I stayed there in London. I was thinking about my life, about my priorities, about my job, about my kids, about everything that mattered really this time. And I came back to Cyprus, and my previous life didn't make sense. In terms
You just didn't want to be that person or live that life.
No.
Yeah.
I found it a bit like superficial. I found it a bit like it was all about me. It was not about other people. It was not about making contribution. It was about like being happy. But even that, it was not. It was not.
But maybe someone else's view of happiness or what you perceived other people would should think happiness is. But not what you truly...
No.
You had to ask yourself what would make you happy.
This exactly. And, like I just embarked on this personal journey of discovering who I am. For the first time, it was not about what makes sense to other people. It was what makes sense for me. What will make me happy? I mean, let's say in 10 years' time, who I want to be. Will really living this kind of life will make me happy? I mean, really? And then I started making changes. Little by little, I definitely invested a lot on myself for getting answers, for getting trained, like inside out, like skills ranging from mindset to communications, to leadership, to confidence, to everything and anything. Whatever was coming my way, I was like...
Grabbing the opportunity.
I was creating the opportunity, it's not about, like doing things. It was like, I wanted it. I wanted it so badly. And I stayed with law for about 2 years. After this experience, I was not vibrating. I was not like fully there. I was building myself up on the side. So I became my side hustle, my side project. And I like what you said before. We don't do half things. I'm also a fan of this mentality. And when I'm doing something, I really want to do it like, I will not say perfectly, because I used to be the perfectionism type of, like a person. I'm no longer a perfectionist.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
Yes, because...
I don't believe in it, personally. What is perfect? And what's perfect today isn't perfect.
And what's
5
perfect
minutes
for
later.
you...
And what's perfect for me, it's all perception.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm more of a, it will do. Let's do our best, and that's good enough.
It's better to be a doer,
than a procrastinator.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So, it was kind of... I became my side project. I was building me and, like creating me, I would say. I mean, who this person... who I want to be. And how this person behaves, and how this person talks, and how this person impacts people, and how this person, sets a standard, and like what walks the talk. It's not only about like looking nice and saying nice things, but it's about doing them as well. And it has been like quite a journey. That's where the certification in coaching came, first with Jill and then with the ICF, because I thought, if I will go down this road, and by the time I was walking that road, I didn't know exactly what I wanted.
Where that path would lead you.
Yes, but it was like leaning to it step by step, and about trusting, and I was having the signs that I was in flow and trusting it and doing it, and it was like leading me, and me trusting where I need to go. And after the ICF, I thought, okay,
And
now
explain the ICF for people who don't know. And,
yes, ICF
yeah.
is the biggest coaching organization in the world, certifying, let's say, coaches, basically providing them with the certification and the stamp and the authority that yes, they're capable, yes, they're eligible, yes, they are experienced to go out and like train and educate the world on an international spectrum. And that was very key for me because I thought, like if I will do it, then I want to be certified to do that anywhere in the world. And at that point, I was like, so if I'm certified and if I want to make a contribution to the world, and if I've seen my journey from who I was, which was perceived to be successful, to where I am, and feeling fulfilled and happy and authentic and, like good in my skin, then why, since I have the skills, why don't I go, like and teach people, like and impact people and actually making a difference, not only on myself, because like I've done it on me, like I know what it takes and I know the reward. So why not kind of spreading, this knowledge and the skills and the tools and the methods and the wisdom, that the wisdom was not mine. The wisdom is something that we can all learn if we are ready for it and if we really want to. Not everything is the same. Like the timing is not the same for everyone, and that's fine. I mean, maybe there are people that they will never ready, like, and that's also fine.
And they'll still be happy in whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if that keeps them happy and makes them happy, then perfect. But I was thinking, like I was meant for more, and this I must say that I always felt, that there must be something more. There must be something more. It's not about like, okay, we go to school, we go to university, okay, we get a job, okay, then we need to get married, okay, we do the family very well, then the kids come over, yes.
Ticking the boxes.
Yes, and I was like, and? Like what's
And when do
next?
I come into it? Like
Yes.
when do I do something for me?
Yes, and I think that's key for a lot of women, Farah, because I work with women very closely and I see them losing their sparkle, and I lost my sparkle back then. And I was feeling that the sparkle is about like being good for others, like what they
Perception.
perceived. Yes. And, like making others, making my husband happy, making my kids happy, making my parents happy. But where will I fit into this perfect picture? I mean, it was... And it's a question that a lot of women come to me and say, when will be my turn? I feel, and I think that we limit ourselves. We are the ones that put everyone in front of us. We are the ones that...
And it's that guilt, isn't it? It's that guilt.
Isn't it?
Because everybody needs a piece of us. So then if you give yourself time, you're taking that piece of you away from them for that time, which you need to take care of yourself first. So we've got to get rid of that guilt that,
I think it's a guilt and a shame.
Yeah.
Because these two go together. Like it's a guilt of, yes, I need to please my kids, for example. And it's also the shame of, if I don't do that, how will I be perceived by others? They will say, look at her. I mean, it's all about her. And, So I think that we women, and I don't like what I will say, but that's the truth. We criticize each other instead of, like
supporting, and being honest.
Empowering each other and appreciating each other and acknowledging each other.
Also being honest, like, I couldn't cope with this, or I want to give myself time, or no one says it. So then the other's like, okay, well, I better not then, because I should.
Yes,
I
should.
And, she can do it. Can do it, can she? Well, it looks like she can, so therefore I better look like I can.
Yes.
And everybody is like in this constant battle.
And comparison, I think, as you said, is not about, maybe I see her doing it, but it doesn't mean that she's coping with it as well. I mean, nobody asked her how she feels at the end of the day. So
and everybody's different. Like who cares as well? Sometimes I'm
definitely.
like, I tell people like, you know,
Definitely.
just do you, and you know, you do what makes you happy, and you know, gets you through the day.
Definitely. I think it's, you mentioned something that I want to comment on because it's very, 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 very key, vulnerability. I will go back to the story just to say that I wouldn't be so fearless today if I didn't experience fear. If I didn't allow fear. Because usually, Farah, what happens, we numb the painful emotions. We numb our painful emotions. I will not say negative emotions.
We don't face them.
Yes. There are no like negative emotions. Okay? All the emotions are messengers. So the painful ones, we choose to numb it, to silence it, to, disregard them. But the thing is that if we numb the painful emotions, we numb the positive emotions as well. We numb our life, we numb the experience, we numb our authenticity.
Well, you need the yin and yang, don't you, to feel both. I think, that's quite true in general in psychology. Not that I wish that on anyone, but often the most successful entrepreneurs or people in whatever success is deemed to be, but have had quite traumatic experiences very early on in their lives. They might have lost a parent or a mother. They might have seen something traumatic. They might have.
Definitely.
But in having had that experience, they've experienced the worst that could have happened in their mind.
Exactly.
And so once that's done and they've overcome it and they've realised, well, I am still standing and I have lived through it. Yes. And then, as you said, they become fearless.
Yes.
What else could go wrong? So they do gamble. I don't mean literally go to a casino, but they do take that risk. They jump and they see they can fly. They might fail in one business, they might fail at one job, they might fail at one marriage, but it's not a failure. It's made them stronger, and they keep on, and they end up hitting because they're not afraid.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I think that the greatest, the greatest stopper, towards success is the comfort zone. So if I'm comfortable, if I'm comfortable and I'm safe and everything is sorted out, and I also see this a lot in people. They become so comfortable in who they are, what they are doing.
Not even complacent.
Yes, it's
like
just
lazy.
like second nature. Everything is automatic. It's like on autopilot. They're not conscious even, and they just go and have like the same kind of day over and over and over and over again. So
do you think, because obviously you deal with international clients as well, but do you think we see that more in Cyprus? Obviously we're a bit biased because we're living here, so that's what we see.
I will say a bit more, yes.
But I've always felt that here. And that so many people fall into this pattern, and because we're a small society, it's so much more important what is perception. We were laughing actually just earlier because we're looking at all the stats of the podcast, for example, and like the most amount of listeners or downloads that we'll get for any episode will always be for locals.
Yes.
And we have international famous people here.
Yes.
And no one gives, I won't say nobody cares, but our average listener, which the majority of listeners are in Cyprus, they want to listen to the person they know or they've heard of personally, which, reflects our society. It's very much about who's who, how we perceive our neighbour. And so people are and I see that a lot because I'm, quite loud about who I am. I'm quite comfortable. But I get openly criticised here, for going on social media without makeup, or...
how does that make you feel?
Oh, I find it hilarious. I actually pity the people who say it, but they do. Like I've had people come up to me and say, Farah, you do your eye makeup so nicely. And I'm like, thanks, but it's such a backhanded comment because I don't understand when you know how to do that, why you wouldn't do it all the time and why you'd come online you know, and then it's, you basically saying I look terrible. But I'm like, no, but I do that because that's the reality. Like everybody sees me dressed up in a suit in the office.
I'm all these parts, you know.
But I'm also at home, you know, with baby food, like over dirty pajamas and my hair a mess and pigmentation on my skin after having 3 kids and breastfeeding for 6 years of my life, you know, and like, and that's me. And like the kitchen isn't always tidy and that's I want, reality. And I want other people to see that that's the reality. So if you've got the same, that's the normal. And you just, you know, if you've got a very clean kitchen, great, good for you guys. I'm, you know, I take my hat off to you. But this isn't everyone and this isn't. So, yeah. But it is funny how, I'm just giving that as an example, that people are very much like, you know, but we should look always our best. But it's yin and yang. I'm always against that because if you don't, like even now, I mean, today is not my best look at work. But then tomorrow when I'm dressed up better, I'm going to appreciate it more because not every day.
You've got variety.
If you come every day
in the same,
in, you know, the best suit you can afford,
definitely,
then you're not going to appreciate that.
You
the
lose
norm,
definitely.
Yeah.
You lose the, you know, like it becomes like given.
Yeah.
You know, so
the spontaneity.
Yes, you stop. How to say, like valuing it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to show the world the vulnerability. I think it takes. There is a quote I like about vulnerability, which says like it speaks like truth and feels like courage. Not a lot of people can speak their truth and have the courage to, you know, like show who they are. I mean, behind the makeup.
Yeah.
Behind the perfect kind of, you know, like life. And I think it's about, you know, like we all have challenges. We all have misfortunes, small, big ones, you know, and it's fine. But it's not about like a competition, you know, like we get this perfect life. It's my perfect life and it's your perfect life. Let's compare it. It's about, you know, like I am a lot of things and you are a lot of things. And it's about embracing all these parts of us and accepting them and loving them, you know, like it's fine if one day I don't, you know, like I really don't go around with makeup all the time. And there are days that I really like it and there are days that I want the more natural. I mean, it's good to be comfortable in our skin.
Yeah.
And comfortable to be seen, you know, for who we are and liked for who we are.
Obviously having children it's influenced every parent in the world, but did having your children, was that also maybe a factor in propelling you into this new way and thinking that I don't want that for my kids?
Yes.
Like I don't want my kids to feel pressurized. I don't want them to not live an authentic version of themselves. And you can't ask them to do that if they see their parents not doing it for themselves.
Definitely. I will say that...
do you have boys or girls?
2 boys.
2 boys.
And I will say that I'm a different mom to the older and the younger because I was literally a different mom because me 5-7 years ago, it was like all of this perfectionism, you know, like polished life, polished playroom, polished, you know, like the
how
kid
they
not
look
to have,
and
bravo. It was because I perceived them to be like an extension of me. So if they were not perfect, it impacted my ego. So when I got to learn about
myself, so beautiful that you can admit that.
Definitely. I mean, I think that a lot of parents, they're so obsessed about their children's success because maybe they couldn't do it themselves.
Yes, exactly. They want to live through their children. Yeah. Like we didn't become that pianist, but you can do it. But maybe the kid, I don't know, wants to be.
Maybe he doesn't
wants to be a footballer. I don't know, or whatever.
Definitely.
And
So with the second one, because it was after this experience.
Yeah, he was so young. He was only 2.
Yeah. Yes. I was no longer a perfectionist. I remember I used to see, I mean, always my house was like really polished, like as if the photographer will come over to take pictures, you know, like it didn't
like
serve any purpose. Yeah. And
that's very common here. I mean, it is very common in Cyprus to be,
And it take a lot of effort to be cool about it and to say, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah, it's difficult.
you
And
know?
people have like their like a little bit of OCD and suddenly
Yes.
like, I don't mind if my sofa gets dirty.
Yeah.
And then, like, oxygen mask comes out. Wow.
I was this kind of, like, freaking out on things that didn't make.
What's your star sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So I was like, with the smaller one, he has toys everywhere in the house. He's allowed to. He's a kid. He needs to feel free in his house, you know? And of course, it's different thing for the kids to have freedom and to feel, like know who they are and what they can do and feel good about
no
it.
set boundaries,
But also the boundaries. That's definitely something that all parents need to work on. And I will say that in Cyprus, kids don't really have boundaries, but they do have this conformity box, and I think it should be the other way around, because if a person is happy with who they are and they know that they are authentic and appreciated and loved for who they are, then as they grow up, they will have more courage and more power to go for what they really like. They will not like live a pretentious life to make everyone happy, and they will just, inside of them, it will be like a frightened little child that cannot express himself or herself. So it's about like teaching them young what following my dreams means. And this is what I really like because of this entrepreneurship that I'm into now. And it's quite a journey. And I must say that I used to be an employee, a very good employee, a very settled employee. I mean, I was doing my job.
Like
I
the
was
dream, dedicated employee.
a dedicated, well-paid, ambitious employee. But the thing is that comfort zone was my favorite, like, I mean, I could do my job with closed eyes, like it was, and it stopped challenging me. So I think it's very important for, no matter what field we are, we need to challenge ourselves. We need to step a bit out of the comfort zone.
And to keep moving forward. That's
Definitely.
life. Because
Otherwise
that's where we learn.
Yes.
And education is growth. And
Yes. And a
feel
lot of people
alive.
tell me, what if I fail? Okay, I mean,
It's great.
fail. It's fine. I mean, nobody dies, from failure.
Yeah. I know there's many famous quotes about failure. Like, I love failure. That's when you learn.
Yeah.
That's when you get closer to success.
That terrified me in the past. I used to see this kind of quotes, and I was like,
Yeah.
what
Are
are
they
they
okay?
talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, what about my image? And, like, what about, like, okay, if I fail, what they will think about me? Because at the end of every fear, it's the fear of not being loved and the fear of not being accepted.
And it is the small society that we live
That's
in.
it.
This
That's
is the
it.
thing. I don't know. I mean, in bigger societies, you fail, you move on. But here, that stigma
It's
of
like you have the
that
spotlight.
so-and-so who back in 1982 started a business and failed it. And
That's it.
And then,
That's it.
even like it can go with your children, like the parents, they didn't have a successful restaurant, like, okay, but then they went on and
Yes. But it's about, like, I think you get to choose. Because I really think that everything is choice.
Yeah.
Everything is a choice.
Yeah.
Everything, from how we show up, from what we're saying.
Can choose to be happy or not.
Yes, everything is a choice. So at the end of the day, you get to choose about yourself. You get to choose, am I happy? If I'm not happy, what's the choices I have? Do I like this relationship? What choices I have? Do I like the person I am? What choices I have? So if we just live a life without us doing a review, like of the segments of our life, it's like a business, you have the financial statements coming up and they say, we made a profit here, we made a loss here. Okay, what we change? If we don't do this, if we don't audit our life and we just go on and live and, do the same, meet the same people, talking about the same things.
But everything just blurs into one. It's like Groundhog Day. But,
what's the point?
Yeah. So tell us, let's go into a little bit about coaching, because I think many people are listening to this won't know what coaching is. To be honest, I remember way back when hearing about life coaches. I'm thinking, what is it? Is it like a cheap psychologist? You know,
Yeah.
you know,
I used to have this
like
opinion as well.
okay, I'm talking mainly like 2 decades ago when I used to hear about. And I'm also a coach. I became a plant-based nutrition coach.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I loved the coaching side of it. I mean, I was more into the nutrition, but it's just so interesting, like for yourself, like reflecting
First
on
and
yourself
foremost.
first and
Yeah.
foremost, and then, you know, being there to support others because you're not really helping or educating, you're just
Support
supporting
and
people.
empower. Yes, that's it.
So tell everybody listening a bit about coaching, like why is it important? How can people gain from it? I mean, really everybody should have a coach. Yeah.
That was Bill Gates' quote that everybody needs a coach. And, you know, like if you have, I will say, I will go back a few years and I will think that coach is like, okay, in Cyprus, most of the people only know the football coach. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get a bit over that. Okay.
But even so, you're training for a sport and you have a coach.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're training for life, for your happiness, and you have a coach.
Definitely.
You know, and we're not all the best at everything. And we're not the best at living. I mean, we've just, in our brief conversation, spoken about so many things: perception, success, happiness, comfort zones. And it's to say we can all get better at all of it.
Definitely, and I think it's you know, like we were not given a manual.
Yeah.
Neither you nor me. I mean, it was like, hello, you became a mom. Here's the manual.
Yeah.
Everybody tells you, you know, like, you have a kid. Yes, they don't tell you about the sleepless nights. They don't tell you about, you know, like the boundaries you need to work on them. They don't tell you about like balancing your life around it.
The new
you know?
you're going to become. The
Yes.
threats.
And it's
if
the
you
same.
don't do this, it's like the person you never wanted to be, and you find yourself like, is that me?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's the same with life. I mean, you finish the university and everybody was like, yeah, now you get the job. Okay, and then you're like, okay, but I've never done that. I mean, it's a new environment, it's new challenges, it's getting into a
new
relationship.
colleagues, relationship, marriage, everything.
It's all new, and I think that same as a football trainer or, you know, like an athlete's trainer, trains them and keeps them on track, keeps them accountable, follows the path that they set for themselves.
And also not just physically, the main part is the mental. Like people win their championships because of their mindset. And so it's the same thing
I'm
in
working
life.
with athletes, and one of them is, he's doing very well. Now he's training for Olympics. And the thing I'm working with him is the mindset, because we are like mind, body, spirit. Okay, if you train only the body, then that's not enough. That cannot take you where you want to go. Michael Jordan said that the great master the body, but the greatest master the mind. Because unless I master the mind and I can trick my mind to think the thoughts I want to think and follow what I think is best for me, you can get over procrastination, you can get over fear, you can get over comparison. I mean, you become unstoppable. And I mean, this, I see it every day in the work I'm doing. And that's why that's my, I will say, specification, because from all the different trainings I did and the different kind of certifications, that one I think is the key. Because unless you master your mind, we all suffer in our mind, okay? Some also suffer physically, but all of us suffer in our mind, more or less. So if we get to train our mind and we understand what thoughts, what's the point of thoughts, what's the point of emotions, what's the impact of our thoughts to our physiology, to our life, to our personality, you know?
An outlook,
we cannot kind of, you know, like own ourselves. It's about, I think about like leading ourselves starts with leading the mind. If you lead your mind, you can like direct your mind. You can impact your emotions as well. You can impact the way you show up, you know, the way you speak up.
The way you perceive yourself, the way you
Yes.
love yourself, yeah.
Yes. And this has an impact on how others also perceive you. So
definitely.
that's definitely a key factor. And this is what I'm doing. Basically, it's like coaching people through powerful questions to kind of broaden their own perspective and perception and see things from a different angle, from a helicopter view, as we say, so they can really understand. And most of them do understand once they work for a couple of sessions. They say that I don't believe I thought about this, you know, in the past, because most of our perceptions, they are given to us by family and society.
Yeah, we've inherited them from someone.
And we just take it as a given, like as a Bible, and it's not a Bible, you know? I mean, you get to kind of examine, does this make sense for me? Is this
do
true?
I personally believe this?
Do I agree with this?
Yeah.
Is it something that I like doing? Is it a value that I want to have, you know, like in my system? If not, then you get to design your life. This is what coaching is about.
And we circle back to the same thing we were discussing earlier, that so many people, there was a study done on this actually, it was quite interesting, that they'll give completely different advice to their friends, their best friends, but not to themselves.
Yes.
So again, we're back to not loving yourself enough, shame, that guilt. So, you know, if your friend came and said, oh, you know, like I'm in between two jobs. I think that was the study actually. One, I'm going to love it. It's exactly what I want to do. The pay's not as good, but, you know, the path is there. The other one, really good pay, find it quite dull, but whatever. You would tell your friend, take the first one, like go for it, do what you love. But then when it's your choice and you get the two, say, oh no, well, I shouldn't really, who cares about what I love? And everyone was choosing the one with more pay.
Isn't it sad?
Yeah.
Isn't it sad? Because I think that self-love, you mentioned the key behind even mindset. But I think when you work on your mindset, you kind of learn to love yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
that's what I try and teach my kids.
Yes.
But my son came out with something hilarious the other day about, he was in the back of the car mumbling, and suddenly he goes, I don't know, or something about a friend. And they said, no, I love myself more. And I was like, what? And he goes, isn't that what you tell us to say, Mummy? And I was like shocked because I was like, okay, maybe we have to, you know, rephrase this.
Rephrase it a bit.
But but I was like, not to be selfish. He goes, no, I love everyone, but I love myself the most. And I'm like, yeah, that's effectively it.
That's
but
great.
It was so funny. Like,
definitely. You know, it's really important to teach them these things. And
just to be kind, to share the love.
Of course.
You know, to be good to everyone, but always to not feel bad about loving yourself, take care of yourself.
Not depriving yourself of the love you give to others.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's not about, and I have
about
women.
ego.
Yes, I have
and people
women,
confuse them.
especially women, with kids. When I mention this, that you need to love yourself first and foremost, even more than your kids. And they come to me and they say, really? I mean, will I be a good mom if I do that? And I'm like, if you don't love yourself, if you don't do the best for you, if you don't, you know, like cheer yourself and invest in yourself and honor yourself, appreciate yourself, what's the example you show your kids? Now, that's number one. And number two, if you just give out your energy, your time, your everything to everyone else, and your cup is empty, what you will give to your children?
Exactly.
Nothing.
And look at the role model as well.
Definitely. Yeah. So I mean, it's so key, so key. But it comes with guilt and shame again.
My dear, what's your favorite quote? You've already mentioned a couple of very good ones, but you have a favorite?
Yeah, I do. It's from Brené Brown, and it's when we deny our stories, it defines us. And when we own our story, we get to write a brave new ending.
Oh.
And I really, really, really love this quote because it's not about, you know, like numb our emotions. It's not about like silencing ourselves. It's not about hiding from who we are. It's about like our unique super story. And I believe that everybody has their own story.
Everyone's their own, it can be their own hero.
Yes.
The hero of their story.
Yes. And I really think that if you own that story, and you allow yourself to be seen, you know, and heard and understood, and you share it with the world, we can all impact each other. If we just hide, you know, like it doesn't serve us, it doesn't serve the world. So it's about, you know, like owning ourselves.
And giving back and being able to give back,
Definitely.
because that's the fulfillment we all
Definitely.
need.
Definitely.
Right, bonus question. So I told you before we went live, these are from our team. Shall I read it to you? Or
Yes.
let's see. This one's typed out. Oh, I like this one.
I like this
If
one.
you could
I had
have
sneak
one
peek.
superpower, what would it be? Oh, I was asked that in an interview, actually, a magazine interview. Oh, nice. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? It's like being a child again, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
playing games.
Yes, it's about, I think, superpower. I really think we all have a lot of superpowers, but one that I will say was to try time travel.
Time travel, huh?
Yeah.
What would you do if you could time travel?
That's, you know, I think I will advise like myself back then that you know, the more is there, you know,
There's
you
more
just
out there.
need to step out, you know, and go for it. You know? That's the thing, because I think that we all need this advice when we are young and we are full of dreams and we have so much in our mind that we want to achieve, but then we kind of, you know, start shrinking. I would
Yeah, and
say.
restricting ourselves,
Yes.
yeah.
So I think that definitely time travel and you know, like advising my younger self will be
Well, actually, I
a
mentioned
superpower.
time traveling yesterday with Yasmina. I can't remember why. She started talking about it, my eldest. And then I said there was a nice movie a few years ago. I think my brother loved it, about time travel. There's been a couple. And but this one in particular, after traveling and you know, changing things that he did when he was younger and and then he stopped using it to change anything. He just, at the end of every day, would travel back and just repeat the same day in exactly the same way, but notice everything even more.
Be more
So
conscious
like order a coffee
about
and
it.
notice when the server smiled,
Yes.
or, you know, walking past someone who was laughing, or
Definitely.
when his child gave him a hug or whatever. So just, yeah, really enjoying the moment. Yeah.
That's it. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
So
And I think
nice.
that being conscious is the key to being happy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Christina, thank you so much. This has
Thank you
been
so
such a
much.
juicy, interesting episode. I think so many people will gain from this, because there's been lots and lots of pearls of wisdom thrown out, not just in quotations, but in lots of thoughts and lots of interesting ideas that apply to everyone without exception.
Yes.
Absolutely everyone. So thank you. I think people will be much the wiser of having spent this time listening
Thank you so
to
much.
us talk. So thank you.
It's been a pleasant, you know, like a warm discussion.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone likes it.
Yeah, and all the best now with Global Women taking
Thank
over
you
that.
so much.
Yeah, and yeah, that's another connection, everyone, with Hotel Talk. So yeah,
Yes.
Global Women, yeah, the brunches have been at Sailors and in the hotel.
Definitely. And I will continue
Yeah.
as well with a different setting.
Yeah.
Here
We'll
in
go up to the
Tenerife,
captains.
so, yeah.
So join us if you're in Cyprus. Come along
Definitely.
to Global
Come for
Women.
brunch.
Yeah, brunch once a
And
month.
networking.
Yeah,
It's a, you know, like it's I think a very
it's
good
a lovely.
opportunity
Yeah, it
for
really
women
is. It's
to
a nice
network.
group. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.